I still remember the afternoon I planned my own 40th birthday party, 13 years ago this coming September. Looking back now at 55, I realize that day was supposed to be about celebrating life, but it ended up teaching me the hardest lesson about who you can really trust. It was a Friday in late September, one of those perfect Austin days where the heat finally breaks and you remember why you moved to Texas in the first place. I'm a pharmacist, and I'd taken the afternoon off to meet with the event planner and finalize details for my party that Saturday night. 40 felt like a milestone worth marking. My husband Ryan and I had been married for 12 years. We'd built a beautiful life together in Westlake Hills, the kind of life I'd dreamed about as a girl growing up in a small town in Oklahoma. Ryan was a successful real estate developer, and I loved my work at the pharmacy. We had a gorgeous home with a view of the hills, good friends, and enough money that I could actually take a day off to plan a party without worrying about the lost wages. The party was supposed to be intimate, just 20 of our closest friends and family. I'd hired a caterer, a bartender, even a small jazz trio. Sarah, my best friend since graduate school, had been helping me plan everything. She was the one who'd suggested the jazz band, actually. Sarah taught yoga at a studio downtown, and she had this way of making everything feel zen and intentional. She'd been my maid of honor at my wedding. We'd been through everything together. Her divorce 5 years ago, my mom's death 3 years back, countless girls' nights and weekend trips. She was like a sister to me, closer even, because we'd chosen each other. That Friday afternoon, I left the event planner's office around 3:30. The meeting had gone shorter than expected, and I'd planned to head straight to the pharmacy to catch up on some paperwork, but on impulse, I decided to go home instead. Maybe check on how the yard was looking, make sure the patio furniture was clean. I wanted everything to be perfect. As I drove up the long driveway to our house, I noticed an unfamiliar silver Mercedes parked near the garage. Not Sarah's white Prius, which I'd recognize anywhere, but another car I didn't know. Odd. Ryan had said he'd be at a property showing all afternoon. Maybe a client had followed him home to look at our house as a comparable? He'd done that before. I parked my car in front of the neighbor's house, actually, because I didn't want to block whoever's Mercedes that was. I grabbed my bag and walked up to the front door, fishing for my keys. That's when my phone buzzed. A notification from my smart home app, motion detected in master bedroom. I stopped, keys halfway to the lock. Motion in the bedroom? At 3:30 in the afternoon? Ryan should be at work. I opened the app, checking the camera feeds. We'd installed a whole system after a rash of break-ins in the neighborhood last year. Cameras at every door, motion sensors, smart locks, even echo devices in most rooms, so we could control everything with our voices. The master bedroom camera showed nothing. The angle only caught the doorway, but the notification meant someone was in there. I should call out, let Ryan know I was home if that was him. But something made me hesitate. Instead, I tapped on the echo device in our bedroom. We'd set them up so we could drop in on them remotely, originally so we could check on the house when we traveled. I'd never actually used the feature before. I pressed the drop-in button and held the phone to my ear, standing there on my own front porch, listening. At first, just rustling sounds. Then Ryan's voice, unmistakable, low and intimate in a way I recognized from our private moments. We have to be careful tomorrow night. She's been planning this for weeks. A woman's laugh. Light, familiar. My blood went cold because I knew that laugh better than my own. Sarah, I know, baby, Sarah said. My best friend's voice was coming through my phone from my bedroom. But it's genius. Really. A home invasion during her own party. It's perfect. I couldn't move. I stood frozen on my porch, phone pressed so hard to my ear it hurt. Ryan spoke again, and his voice had changed. It was businesslike now, detached. The guy I hired, he knows what to do. He'll show up around 9, after everyone's had a few drinks. Make it look random. Wrong place, wrong time. There'll be so many people, so much confusion, and I'll be right there, Sarah said. The best friend, devastated. I'll hold everyone back, make sure no one interferes too soon. The life insurance is $750,000, Ryan continued. Plus the house is worth at least $800, and there's another $500 in her investment accounts. We're looking at over $2 million, Sarah. Split down the middle, just like we agreed. $2 million. My life insurance. The house my parents had helped us buy. My retirement savings from 15 years of working at the pharmacy. When? Sarah asked, and I heard the bedsheets rustle. They were in my bed. My husband and my best friend were in my bed, planning my murder. Tomorrow night, Ryan said. At her own birthday party. She'll never see it coming. They both laughed then. This easy, comfortable sound, like they were discussing vacation plans instead of my death. Like they'd laughed together 1,000 times before, which they probably had. How long had this been going on? Months? Years? My hands were shaking so violently I almost dropped my phone. I backed away from the front door, moving as quietly as possible down the driveway. I couldn't go in there. I couldn't face them. Not yet. Not without a plan. I got back in my car and just sat there for a moment, trying to process what I'd just heard. My husband wanted me dead. My best friend, the woman who'd held me while I cried over my mother's grave, was helping him. They were going to stage a home invasion at my own birthday party and make it look like random violence. Every moment of my life suddenly rearranged itself in my mind. The way Ryan had insisted we increase my life insurance last year said it was just smart planning. The way Sarah had encouraged me to have this big party said I deserved to celebrate. The way they'd both been so available lately, so attentive. They'd been setting the stage, hadn't they? Making sure everything would look normal, unremarkable. I thought about my sister Maria, a criminal defense attorney in Houston. She'd know what to do. I pulled out of the driveway and drove to a shopping center a few miles away, parked in the back of the lot, and called her with shaking fingers. Maria, I said when she answered, I need your help. It's about Ryan. 2 hours later, I was sitting in Maria's downtown office, showing her the recording I'd saved from the Echo device. The app had automatically uploaded it to the cloud, thank God. Maria sat across from her desk, her face growing paler as she listened. When it ended, she closed her eyes for a long moment. That son of a bitch, she whispered. And Sarah? I can't believe it. We had dinner with her last month. What do I do? I asked. My voice sounded strange, hollow. Can I even prove anything? It's just a conversation. They haven't done anything yet. Maria leaned forward, her lawyer brain already working. We can't go to Austin PD with this alone. But I know someone at the FBI field office. This involves a murder-for-hire scheme, which is federal. And if this guy Ryan hired is willing to kill for money, he's probably done it before. She made a call. 20 minutes later, we were meeting with Special Agent Thomas Chen in a conference room at the FBI building. He listened to the recording 3 times, making notes. Mrs. Thornton, he said when it finished, how certain are you that this party is happening tomorrow night? Completely certain, I said. I paid deposits to vendors, sent invitations. Everything's arranged. And your husband expects you to be there? Yes, I'm the guest of honor. Agent Chen exchanged a look with Maria. Here's what I'm thinking. We can't arrest anyone based on this recording alone. Conspiracy to commit murder is serious, but we need to catch them in the act. We need to identify this hired killer and catch him in the commission of a crime. You want to use her as bait, Maria said flatly. With full protection, Agent Chen said quickly. We'd wire her, have agents positioned throughout the party as guests, and have tactical teams ready to move the second this guy shows up. We'd also approach him before the party, flip him. Most hired killers will talk when faced with federal murder charges. I felt sick. You want me to go through with the party? Pretend everything's normal. Act like I don't know my husband and best friend are planning to have me killed. I know it's asking a lot, Agent Chen said gently. But it's the best way to ensure we catch everyone involved and that we have solid evidence for prosecution. If you cancel the party, they'll just try again. Different time, different method. You'll always be looking over your shoulder. I looked at Maria. My sister's face was tight with worry, but she nodded slightly. He's right, Ev. You have to end this tomorrow, or you'll never be safe. So I agreed. I drove home that evening, walked into my house, and found Ryan in the kitchen cooking dinner like nothing was wrong. He kissed me on the cheek, asked how my day was, poured me a glass of wine. I sat across from him at our dining room table, making small talk about the party tomorrow, watching his face for any sign of what he was planning. He smiled, squeezed my hand, told me he couldn't wait to celebrate me. It was the longest night of my life. The next morning, Agent Chen called. They'd identified the hired killer from the description on the recording and picked him up at 6 a.m. Turns out he was actually wanted in 2 other states for similar crimes. When faced with 3 federal murder-for-hire charges, he'd talked. Given them everything, including text messages from Ryan detailing the plan. Even better, he'd agreed to wear a wire and go through with the approach, giving them a chance to catch Ryan in the act. At noon, a female FBI agent came to my house, pretending to be from the catering company. She fitted me with a wire so small I couldn't even see it under my blouse. 2 more agents would pose as guests. A married couple, Ryan and Sarah, had never met. Another 5 would be positioned around the property in plain clothes. The moment you feel unsafe, you say, "I think I left my phone in the kitchen," Agent Chen instructed. "That's the signal. We move in immediately." I nodded, trying to steady my breathing. The party would start at 7. It was 6 o'clock now. Ryan was upstairs getting dressed. Sarah had texted earlier asking if she should come early to help set up. I'd told her no, that the caterers had everything handled. In reality, I didn't think I could look at her face before I absolutely had to. At 6:30, Ryan came downstairs in the navy suit I'd always loved on him. He looked handsome, successful, exactly like the man I'd fallen in love with at 30. Had that man ever really existed? Or had he always been this person underneath, someone who could plan my murder while kissing me goodnight? "You look beautiful," he said, taking in my green dress. He'd bought it for me last month, insisted I wear it tonight. I wondered now if he'd wanted me to look good for my own murder. "Ready for your big night?" "Ready," I managed. The guests started arriving at 7. Friends from work, neighbors, Maria and her husband Carlos. Sarah arrived at 7:15, looking stunning in a white jumpsuit, carrying a large birthday present. She hugged me tight, whispered, "Happy birthday," babe in my ear. I had to force myself not to pull away. By 8:30, everyone was there. The jazz trio was playing on the patio. The bartender was keeping glasses full. The caterer was passing trays of elegant appetizers. It looked exactly like the party I'd envisioned, except I knew it was actually a trap, an ambush, for my own murder. I spotted the FBI agents easily now that I knew to look for them. The couple by the bar, the man who'd introduced himself as a work colleague of Ryan's. They blended in perfectly, but I could see the subtle way they tracked Ryan's movements, Sarah's position in the room. Ryan found me around 9, handed me a fresh glass of champagne. "Having fun?" he asked. "It's perfect," I said, and meant it in a way he couldn't understand. Everything was about to be perfect, just not the way he'd planned. "I'm glad," he said, and kissed my forehead. "You deserve this." At 9:15, there was a commotion at the front door, raised voices, someone shouting. My heart started pounding. This was it. A man burst through the patio doors, and everyone screamed. He was exactly what you'd expect, rough-looking, wild-eyed, waving what looked like a gun. The hired killer, playing his part perfectly. "Everyone down!" he shouted. "This is a robbery!" People hit the floor immediately. Crying, screaming, chaos. I froze where I stood, watching Ryan's face. For just a second I saw something flicker there. Satisfaction? Anticipation? The man moved through the crowd, grabbing purses, phones, making it look random. Then he turned to me, started walking in my direction. This was the moment. He was supposed to attack me. Make it look like I'd fought back. Been killed by accident. But instead, Agent Chen's voice boomed through a megaphone. "FBI, drop your weapon." The man dropped the prop gun immediately, hands up. "I'm cooperating! I'm cooperating!" Suddenly there were agents everywhere, emerging from the crowd, rushing in from outside, the tactical team in full gear. My guests were screaming in confusion, but I only watched Ryan. His face went completely white. He looked from the arrested man to the FBI agents to me. Our eyes met across the patio, and I saw the exact moment he understood. He knew that I knew. "Ryan Thornton," Agent Chen said, approaching with handcuffs. "You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder and murder for hire." "Sarah Mitchell," another agent said, moving toward my best friend where she'd been frozen near the bar. "You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder." Sarah looked at me then, tears streaming down her face. "Evie," she said, her voice breaking. "Evie, please." I can explain. But she couldn't. There was no explanation that would make sense, no words that could undo what I'd heard through that smart home device. My best friend of 15 years had been sleeping with my husband and helping him plan to have me murdered at my own birthday party. The agents led them both away in handcuffs. My remaining guests were being interviewed by FBI agents, giving statements. Maria appeared at my side, pulling me into a tight hug. "It's over," she kept saying. "It's over. You're safe." But I couldn't feel safe. Not yet. I was still wearing my green dress at my own birthday party, watching my husband and best friend be driven away in separate cars. The trial happened 6 months later. The prosecution had the cloud recording from my smart home device, the text messages from Ryan to the hired killer, testimony from the killer himself who'd taken a plea deal. They'd also found evidence that Ryan and Sarah had been having an affair for almost 3 years, starting just 6 months after Sarah's divorce. They'd taken trips together, hidden under the guise of Ryan's business travel and Sarah's yoga retreats. They'd opened a joint bank account in the Cayman Islands. They'd even looked at property in Costa Rica together, planning their new life with my money. The most damning evidence was Ryan's computer history. He'd researched staged home invasions, hired killers, life insurance payouts. He joined an online forum where people discussed perfect murders. He'd been planning this for over a year. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Ryan got 20 years for conspiracy to commit murder and murder for hire. Sarah got 12 for conspiracy and being an accessory. Neither of them looked at me during sentencing. Maybe they couldn't. Maybe seeing me alive, seeing that I'd outsmarted them, was too much. That was 13 years ago. Ryan would be 63 now, with 7 more years on his sentence. Sarah got out 2 years ago, but I've never heard from her. Maria tried once to convince me to consider reconciliation, said maybe Sarah had learned something, but I couldn't. Some betrayals cut too deep. When you plan someone's murder, when you laugh about it while lying in their bed, there's no coming back from that. As for me, I sold the house in Westlake Hills. Couldn't stand to be there anymore, not after what happened. I moved to Colorado Springs, started over completely, met my current husband, Thomas, 4 years after the trial. He's an accountant, quiet and steady and honest in a way that feels like oxygen after Ryan's lies. We've been married 8 years now, and I've never doubted him. Not once. I still work as a pharmacist, though at a different pharmacy now. I like the routine of it, the precision. Every prescription has to be exactly right or someone could get hurt. There's a clarity in that I appreciate now more than ever. Sometimes people ask me if I have regrets about that night. They wonder if maybe I should have just confronted Ryan privately, if we could have worked things out. But I know the truth. That smart home device saved my life. If I hadn't dropped in on that echo in my bedroom, if I hadn't heard that conversation, I would have died at my own birthday party. Ryan and Sarah would have collected the insurance money, played their parts as grieving widow and devastated best friend, and probably gotten away with it. Instead, I'm here. I'm 55 years old, and I'm alive. Every morning, I wake up in my house in Colorado with Thomas beside me and mountains visible through the bedroom window. I drink my coffee on my deck and watch the sunrise. I call Maria every Sunday, and we laugh about her grandkids and my work stories and the simple, ordinary parts of life that I might not have gotten to experience. And every year on my birthday, September 23rd, I throw myself a party. Not a big one, just Thomas and Maria and Carlos and a few close friends. We eat good food and drink good wine and play jazz music on the patio. It's my way of celebrating, not just getting older, but being alive, being smart enough and lucky enough and careful enough to survive. So if you're listening to this story and you feel that voice in the back of your head telling you something's wrong, trust it. Don't ignore it. I know it's hard when it's someone you love, someone you trust completely, but that smart home technology, those security cameras, those cloud backups, they exist for a reason. Use them. Screenshot the suspicious texts. Save the weird conversations. Document everything that feels off. Check your life insurance policies. Know who the beneficiaries are. Pay attention to the small changes, the little suggestions, the ways someone might be setting a stage you don't realize you're on. Ask questions. Verify answers. Trust your instincts over your loyalty, because sometimes the people who promise to love you are the ones planning to hurt you most. I learned that lesson at my 40th birthday party, standing in my green dress, watching my husband and best friend get arrested for trying to have me killed. It's a lesson that cost me my marriage, my best friend, my home, my sense of security, but it's also a lesson that saved my life. And now, 13 years later, I can tell you that life is worth saving. Every day of it. Every ordinary morning, every quiet evening, every birthday party with the people who actually love you. It's all worth fighting for. So trust your tech, screenshot everything, back it up to the cloud, because your life might depend on it. Mine did.